Hello to everyone. In my previous video lectures, I have explained regarding the valence form theory, crystal field theory, as well as splitting of complexes. Right? So this is only a supporting statement why the case is reversed in case of tetrahedral complexes to that of octahedral complexes. So little bit briefly, I am going to explain this video lecture. So these are the 5 d orbitals: dxy, dyz, dzx, dx square minus y square, and dz square. So if you see here in tetrahedral complexes, each orbitals point along x, y, z orbitals, right? Whereas T2C also they point, but they in between x, y, z orbitals. So please make the difference among T2C orbitals, the point in between, whereas EC orbitals, they point along x, y, z axis, right? So this is one axis, this is one axis, this is one axis, like this. If you see, you will have a clear idea. So whenever the direction of approach of ligands does not coincide exactly with the EZR220. So direction, it is not either coinciding with, means they are not directly pointing along or neither in between. But we have to go for the angle or nothing but a direction. In such a case, the energy of 2Tg orbitals are nearer to the direction of ligands than EZ orbitals, right? So whenever they lie nearer, it means the angle between T2C orbitals and the direction of original orbitals is very much nearer or less. Then they will have high repulsions. Whenever they will have high repulsions, obviously they will be raised to the upper level or above the energy barrier. So here in this case, the energy of T2G set of orbitals is raised to the maximum extent. So that's why it is quite reverse when compared to that of the octahedral complexes. In octahedral, T2C comes down, whereas EZ goes up. Whereas in case of tetrahedral complexes, see here T2C, because of the, you can say, the angle between the pointing axis as well as these direction of dxy, dyz and dzx orbitals are very much closer each other. They will suffer high repulsions. That's why they are going to move away or little bit higher than this energy barrier. The center one is called as energy barrier or otherwise called as barycenter. So the overall difference between T2G and EZ is nothing but delta. T stands for tetrahedral. If it is for octahedral, we have to mention delta O. So that's why here it's clearly mentioned. Magnitude of delta T is far less than delta O in case of tetrahedral complexes. And moreover, tetrahedral, only 4 ligands are there. So the crystal field splitting is reduced by 2 by 3 in size. So overall, if you see d orbitals, 5 orbitals are there. 5, among them actually 2 and 3. So here down it is 3 by 5. It means it is down means it will be represented with the negative sign. The upper one it is 2 by 5. Because it is higher than the energy barrier or barycenter, it will be represented by positive sign. But in case of tetrahedral, it has overall only 4 ligands. So hence the direction of approach of ligands does not coincide exactly as I said to you in the previous slide, neither in the direction or in between. So the crystal field splitting reduced further by 2 by 3. So obviously for the crystal field energy for tetrahedral orbitals, delta T is equal to 4 by 9 delta O. So once we are going to have or look into the key points for the formation of tetrahedral complexes which are favored, right? So ligands are bulky or large in size. Attainment of regular shape is important. Ligands are weak fields. Oxidation state of central metal is low. The electronic configuration of the central metal atom, either it might be D0, D5 or D10. It means they are very much stabilized. Next, we are going to do exercise little bit how it is going to vary further in case of square planar complexes also. So in each and every case, all it depends upon the direction of approach of ligands towards the metal. Then only the splitting takes place. So this one I have clearly explained, or we have noticed a lot in case of crystal field theory, which is called as CFT. So this is only a supporting statement why it happens like this, right? So in case of square planar coordination, can be imagined to result when two ligands on the z-axis of the octahedron are removed from the complex, leaving only the ligands in the xy plane. See here, this is the square planar complex, this is x plane, this is y plane, and this is z plane. As the z ligands move away, see, if you see x, y, they are almost like this, whereas this center z1 is, it is going to move away. The ligands in the square planar move little bit closer to the metal. So hence, of all the orbitals, dx square y square will be, what is the center z1 axis? That is mainly dz square, right? Of all the orbitals, dx square y square will be influenced more and its energy is raised. So whatever d orbitals are lying on xy axis, they will be influenced because the angle between them will be little bit closer, hence obviously they will suffer repulsions. So repulsions means they will move higher to the barycenter or energy barrier. Here in this also, again, the dxy orbital lying in the same plane also will have greater energy, but it will have less than that of dx square minus y square. So that's why it goes to the little bit to the much farther than the each and everything. This is the topmost dx square minus y square, then dx square. So because xy axis they are influenced, its energy is raised. Obviously, we are going to look into this diagram. The first rise is dx square, and dx square minus y square has raised very much farther than the energy barrier or barycenter. Next, coming to the next orbitals. So dxz and dyz pair will always be affected equally and remain degenerate. Hence always you can say they are called as degenerate orbitals. It means both of them have equal in energies. Equal in energies in the sense I can explain. If suppose two electrons are there, obviously in the d overall d orbital, two electrons are there, imagine. Those two electrons has to be filled first in one in dyz and another one dxz. It means both are equal in energies. Then you can say they are degenerate, right? So this is about their energy levels. So dx square minus y square, which has moved farther away from the barycenter. Next, coming to the dx square. Next, dz square and dzx and dyz both are equal in energies, right? So the square plane of the energy center, which is equal to 1.74 when compared with that of the octahedral, which is larger than the pairing energy. So hence you can say the square planar complexes are low spin complexes, right? So these are the key points which are going to favor the square planar geometry. So metal ions with D8 configuration in presence of strong field. So in your previous slide I have explained that, see, low spin complexes, right? So weak field, low spin, strong field, high spin. So metal ions with, let us suppose, a DL configuration in presence of strong field. The 80 electrons occupy the lower energy levels. Coming to the lower, it goes to the higher one. So dxy dyz. So here 2, 4, then 6, then dz square 8. So till here all the 8 electrons were filled, whereas dx square minus y square will be empty. So surrounding the stronger the surrounding field, higher the dx square minus y square will be raised, and the complex is more stable. That is in case of strong field complexes. So overall, we are going to see what are the factors which influence the CFSE. What is CFSE? Crystal field stabilization energy. This can be calculated for each and every type of complex, whether it might be of tetrahedral, sphere planar, or octahedral. CFSE can be calculated for each and every type of geometry. For example, for tetrahedral it has 4.9, for sphere planar it has 1.7. So this can be influenced, or this is dependent upon the nature of ligands, charge of the central metal atom or central metal ion. So which means metals with higher charge produces more splitting, then position of metal in the transition states. So because if you see, this is the order, 5d less than 4d less than. So upon increase in the atomic number also, so this can be result with the magnitude, or which is also one of the factors for calculation of CFSE. So in next video lecture, I will tell you how to calculate CFSE for various types of molecules, whether it is low spin or high spin, or if it is for octahedral, tetrahedral, like that. Right? So we will have very clear idea about calculation of CFSE. So with that, almost we can conclude this chapter also. Right? So thank you all. Let us meet in the next video lecture.